Hello again, and welcome to the daily Templar Report, and myself, Jim Dowson, your guest presenter thereof. How are you? Sorry we're a wee bit late. We've got a lot to do today, and the weather is utterly foul here today. Absolutely ghastly. Pouring rain, pitch black. It's grim. Well, I'd like to remind everybody that today is Armistice Day here in Europe and Veterans Day over in the US. So we're going to do a wee remembrance for that. It's a very important day indeed, and so many millions of people have died in the two main world wars and all the other conflagrations in between. This is the day I know that Britain and the Commonwealth, that's Canada, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Zimbabwe, which was Rhodesia, and all the British Commonwealths remember our war dead with our symbol, the poppy. That's why I've been wearing this the last week, because that's the flower that grew in the bombed wastelands of Flanders fields in Belgium and France. And the Americans have Veterans Day today, so it's a very sombre day, but we must give thanks for those who are currently serving, and those who have served, and those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice. We'll do that in a wee minute. It has been confirmed that one of our dear brothers, Sergio Casasanta, meaning House of Saints, Sergio Casasanta, a quite new member, lovely guy, bought all his gear and all that, and was really getting right into the order. He suddenly died. I haven't got all the details yet, but I have spoke briefly to his wife, who was very upset, so I'm going to wait until tomorrow to really get the full grip on it. But seemingly he was very ill and didn't tell anybody. He was going to doctors, keeping everything to himself. And he was an Ozzy Osbourne impersonator of all things. It went all around the world. But, another brother has passed away. So we'll have a minute's silence today for the veterans and all the rest of it. And we'll also remember our good brother, Sergio Casasanta. It's all very sad, but this is life. This is life. And this is life eternal. Remember, when you close your eyes in death, it's not the end. It's the end of one part. It's the beginning of a new part. It's where you will spend the rest of eternity is the important question. Right, I want to read you a wee bit of Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 27 verse 1. Very apt for today. Boast not thyself of tomorrow, for thou knowest not what a day may bring forth. Dear friends, this might be the last day that you spend on this earth. And there in the last the last 2 weeks, we've had 3 brothers gone. And in times of war, people are going by the second, never mind the minute or the hour or the day or the week, by the second. And when we consider how many men lie dead, it's very shocking. But that's where we are now. Again, there's too many folk in the chat to say hello to you, and we're running late, so I'm sorry about that. But we'll get right into this. So on this day, if we remember back during the 2 world wars, for us it started, the first war in 1914, ended in 1918. In Britain here we lost almost 1 million men. Tiny, small country, lost almost 1 million men. The Germans lost about 3 million men. The Americans lost, I think, maybe 300 or 400,000, I think. And then the Second World War for us started in 1939 and lasted 6 years until 1945. We lost less than, we lost about 500,000. I think the Americans lost around about the same. 2 devastating wars, but the first war especially left such a scar on us. There wasn't a street or a house that wasn't bereft of a son. There's a mural, a painting on a wall down in the working class poor area of Belfast, near the shipyards, and it lists all the houses in this tiny little street, a street about 80 yards long. And there was only 2 houses out the whole street that hadn't lost a son or a father. Can you imagine it? Can you imagine it? Everybody in the street, a wee narrow, tiny working class street, every house bar 2 had lost a son or a father. It must have been devastating. So it's left such a message in our heads, such a scar, that we do take it seriously. I was out on Sunday at the War Memorial, and I think everybody should. It's your duty, if you can, possibly even crawl to get to the War Memorial to show your respects to the fallen and to the battalions of the glorious dead who died for, in our case, king and country, or in the American case, in American things, for the country of America and the defence of their Constitution. Because let me tell you, you're going to have to defend that Constitution again, and perhaps again with your life's blood. That's a fact. Right, let us kind of invite everybody now to be upstanding for a minute's silence. While we're playing that, we'll put a picture on screen that represents the British Commonwealth and our American brethren today. Okay, let us stand for a minute's silence as we play the last post. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Thank you very much, folks. And make sure you bring your children up always to attend the memorials for the fallen. It's the least we can do for those who have given their young lives that we may be free. But as I say, our freedom is rapidly diminishing. Our freedom is in great danger. Not just in America, but all over the once free world. Very good. Very good. I've seen the chat was silent as well. Very good. But you know, our freedoms that were won by the blood of millions of our ancestors, the blood that's in your veins was the blood that was at Iwo Jima, that was at the Somme, that was on the beaches of Normandy. That blood's in you. And just as your ancestor did their duty, you're required to perhaps sacrifice even your life in defence of freedom, in defence of the Constitution, in defence of in Britain we have our own, not a constitution as such, but with the Bill of Rights and the Act of Settlement. It's like a constitution. The Americans actually took the constitution from our Bill of Rights and Act of Settlement. But we have to defend these. They were won through blood. And they must be preserved. They have been over the years preserved through blood. And now it looks as if we're going to lose them. So, not on my watch. I can tell you that. Not on my watch. I won't be. If we lose them, I won't be here to see it. Because I'm determined to fight tooth and nail that we would retain what was given to us. What's been given to us was won at great cost. We are custodians of the truth and of freedom and of the Constitution and of the Bill of Rights. We are only custodians. We have to pass this to our children. Are we going to be the generation that blew it when the Hitler, the Kaiser and Tojo and Hirohito, they could not do it? But are we going to be the generation that lets Sleepy Joe take it all from us? Or George Soros take it all from us? I ain't signing up for that, I can tell you. So come on, let's gird our loins and fire ourselves up for the fight that's coming. Because any fight that's coming, we're going to win it. Or we're going to die trying. So that's good. Let's make sure we're serious minded about this. Now, I want to show you some stuff today. I told you yesterday, and no fitting day to do it, about the altar that we have a chance of getting. And the altar has plaques on it to remember the war dead. I think we can show you the altar. Yep, there's the altar. There's the solid oak, and here's it's a solid oak, hand carved, over 100 years old. It's an amazing thing. Look at the carving in this thing. Can you believe it? Can you believe this? And we have the chance of getting this only because the guy selling them is quite fond of us. He's been offered far more money, I can tell you, 10 times the money. But look at the beautiful carvings on this. They're absolutely beautiful. I mean, that's the chairs where the priest and the minister sits and some of the officials, all that stuff. Now, I want to show you a plaque on it. And the reason I'm doing it today, it's not disrespectful to Memorial Day or Armistice Day. This is very respectful because look what's on this. Look what's on this. To the glory of God. I can't actually read it from there, but it's to the memory of those who have given their lives for God and country. In the 2 world wars. What a fitting thing that we could put in the Magdalen Chapel. What a beautiful, beautiful thing that we could put in the Magdalen Chapel. As I say, these are solid oak. We have the history with them, but let me just give you a wee bit of history here. So this set of amazing chairs and historical church furniture, including the altar, holy altar, are from one of the most historical churches in the world. And it's been offered to us, the Templars, for a crazy price. And it's because it's us. We're getting offered it for £1,400, which is $1,800. There's a link up there, I believe. Yep, the other link. The link's there. I did warn everybody yesterday. Ladies, bring your purses. Gentlemen, bring your wallets. The stunning altar and the 3 ecclesiastical chairs are all beautifully hand-carved and from 500-year-old oak trees that were presented to this historical church just about 100 years ago. Now, this church was the first church built after the Reformation in Scotland. Yes. Now, these don't come from that time. These come from much sooner, 100 years ago. The church was one of the first built after the Reformation and has a long historical links to Ireland because our chapel here, the Magdalen Chapel's here in Ireland, just outside Belfast, in the countryside, through association with Harland and Wolff shipbuilders, who, around about the same time as these were made, made the Titanic, HMS Titanic, the famous Titanic. This solemn yet understated altar set was made around the same time as the Titanic being constructed, and there's no doubt that the hands that built the fated ship touched this altar and these chairs, because the ship builders operated in Belfast, and then just across 12 miles of water in Port Glasgow, Clydebank, where all in the shipyard, the shipbuilders went back and forward, and some of the ship was made here, some of it was made there. So the people who built the Titanic knew, they cast their eyes upon this set of church furniture. They touched this. They sat in the church listening to the word of God being preached in that church with these items. Even that alone, I know the Titanic's not religious or anything like that. I mean, for me personally, coming from the first church built after the Reformation is, wow, mind-blowing. But from a human point of view, the whole history of the Titanic, it's amazing that the people who built the Titanic, the people who built it, maybe some of the people who sailed on it, maybe some of the people who died on it, were in the church with that altar set. Some of their hands would have been on that altar, on those chairs. It's quite incredible. The furniture also has a connection with our fallen servicemen in both wars. You've seen the plaque. So imagine the tears and the stress that all right, the emotions that altar set must have seen or lived through or been present with, as the parents, the fathers, the mothers, the grandmothers, and the wives, and the sons and daughters, the wee children of those who fell in battle were there that day when those plaques were screwed onto those solid oak chairs. Can you imagine that church, the weeping and the wailing and the abject misery of the people who had lost their sons and their husbands? Because we don't, in the British, we don't bring the bodies back. They buried where they fall. Maybe dozens of men were killed from that church. Dozens. So you can imagine, just take yourself back to 1918 to I think that plaque was put there in 1930 something. Can you imagine the pain in that church that day? Well, we ain't taking that plaque off. That plaque's staying there. It's going to get into our Magdalen Chapel, so these men's memory and their sacrifice will be remembered forever, along with our glorious dead Templar men and their spouse and their wives can be in there. It's quite mind, but I really don't have the education or the vocabulary to try and express what I'm feeling and what I mean. And to top it all, this the plaque on there is just incredible. Such history and background is no accident, my friend. It is divine providence, and like everything connected to this new Magdalen Chapel for our glorious dead, everything just seems to fall into place. We got that huge cross from upstate New York. Do you remember it came out of a monastery in America? Huge big cross. We got it for next to nothing, $600. Do you remember? You bought it, bang. We've had candlesticks. We've had the stones. Wait a minute. This dug out the wall from the old Roman Catholic abbey, built on top of St Patrick's Church. So this goes right back to the year 430. I'm sure you Americans can't grasp this. 430 AD. Then the monastery built in 1199, Templar time, by French monks coming over from France to build it, who would have been well familiar with our order, well familiar with our leaders. And we dug this out the wall. There's nothing by accident here. I've never been involved in a project, ever, my whole life, where things just keep happening. And all of a sudden, this church furniture. Folks, have you any idea how much this stuff costs in the real world? Well, if you don't, go on and Google trying to buy a church pew. Just a pew, one of those old pews, 100-year-old pew. You'll pay $1,000. It's ridiculous what's happening. Things are just happening, and we're only, as the crow flies, maybe only 35, 40 miles from where those stuff comes from in Scotland, because we're only across a little bit of narrow water, then we're into Northern Ireland. But there's still a connection, because just down the road here, in this village, most of the people in this village worked in Harland and Wolff shipyards, and their grandfathers helped build the Titanic, so they would have been going back and forward to this place in Scotland, Port Glasgow, which is just a short boat ride. So the connection is real. The connection is here. We're not importing this in from a foreign country. This is real. And the Templars survived in Scotland. That's where the Templars survived after the clampdown by the King and the Pope. So this is no accident. This is no accident, my friend. This is divine providence. You know, it is. And it's like everything connected to this chapel just seems to be happening. And things that you couldn't believe are just happening day by day. And remember, the Magdalen Chapel out there, our Magdalen Chapel that is built for you to put your remains in at some point in history, or even at a lock of your hair, or something that you would be remembered by. The Magdalen Chapel was built from stones of the 12th century French Cistercian monastery which was built in turn to replace the church built by St. Patrick himself. And just in case, St. Patrick's not a mythical figure, he's an actual historical character. He built a church in the year 430, or 300, no, it must be 430 AD. Somebody's wrote the note wrong here, better correct that. 430 AD. And on top of that, then, 700 years later, they built a Cistercian monastery by monks from France. It's quite incredible. And now we have the stones, because it was rubbed out by King Henry, that carry on dissolution of the monasteries. And it's been in walls and all around this little village and in our little chapel outside. Now we are restoring our little chapel, and these things are happening. These things are just coming to us. It's quite incredible. Folks, I want you to be part of this great blessing by helping us make sure we buy these, because the guy's giving them us for virtually nothing. But, at the same time, he is a businessman. He's got a living to make. And while he wants to help us, he's selling them for what he paid for them. But he just told me he can get £8,000, $10,000 for these tomorrow. No problem. So we need to buy these. It's as simple as that. And I'm appealing, well, we need to buy them. Us. I've already pledged. I don't want to say because the wife's watching, but I've already put some money in the pot. Not too much, darling, but I've already put some money in the pot. I've already put £250 in the pot. That's as much as I can afford for. I can't even afford that. But anyway, I've done it to get the ball rolling. But we need to buy this. We need to buy it today. The owner is on our side. He's a decent man, good Christian man. But the COVID thing, he's hitting hard times like everybody else. I'm sure in a different time, he would have gave us these. He'd have gifted them to us. But he is in serious financial problems because of the COVID. So the man's got to make a living. He's got to pay his bills. And it wouldn't be, if he could do it, I'm sure he would, but he can't. So we need to buy these. He's only asking for what he paid for them, which is fair enough. We don't expect charity. It's fair enough. And if we can give this man today what he paid for them, they're ours. Are we going to do this? Are we going to do this today? Well, I'm down for $250. So what have we got to raise now? That's pounds, so that's about $400. So we need $1,400 US dollars. That's what we need. I've done the 400. So we need about $1,400. I don't know. Brother, is there any coming in?
Yeah, we had a bit of a technical issue to start off with.
What was the technical issue? Was there a glitch on the link?
It was that recipient not active.
All right. We've fixed the link. I know some folk were trying to donate there, but there was some kind of glitch. It's fixed now. It's fixed. We've got 150 in.
Yeah, there's been 1, 2, 3, 4 donations.
Okay, I'll leave it a wee minute. Well, the glitch is fixed now, so if you were trying there and you were getting hit with the glitch, try again. It's fixed now, just one of those things. So if you try again, I'll go through this story. The brother can put the name, and I'll read the names out of the people who are helping to make this thing a reality. But come on, folks, let's do it. It's really important we're doing this today. We want to do this today. It's the most important thing in the church. It's the holy altar where we'll be remembering the Lord's sacrifice. We'll be offering up the Lord to our faithful when we're having services there. There's nothing more important than the altar. That's it. The altar is really, really important. And on that altar is going to sit our big American cross and our Orthodox candlesticks. It is vital. It's solid oak. It's hand carved. I've told you the history of it. We need to get this done, and we need to do it today. Right, well, while you guys are hitting the link, hopefully, I pray to God, you hit the link. I'm going to read this ridiculous madness coming out of America. Let me read this story. GOP establishment rebuked for fleeing America First with amnesty talk. It's an interesting story. Immigration reformers are slapping down suggestions by the Republican establishment on finding common ground with Democrats over immigration, a veiled suggestion of amnesty for illegal aliens, I bet you. While President Trump continues his election challenge to Joe Biden in numerous swing states, Senator Lindsey Graham, a Republican in South Carolina, is discussing what a Republican-held Senate may do if they keep the United States Senate. One of those measures noted by Graham, roll call reported is common ground immigration reform. The term is often used by establishment Republicans and Democrats to disguise amnesty for the, wait till you hear this figure, for the 11 to 22 million illegal aliens. So let's just split that down the middle here. So there's roughly 16 million illegal aliens in America that they know of. 16 million, and now they're plotting to do this amnesty. What's the point of having laws in the first place if you're just going to give people amnesty? What about amnesty for bank robbers? Well, in this country, Northern Ireland, when we did the peace deal, we gave amnesty to mass murderers. So, Who am I to talk? America First conservatives and immigration reformers said Graham's suggestions of an amnesty after millions of working and middle-class Americans showed up to vote for Trump's economic nationalist agenda, which includes a reduction to overall immigration, is a slap in the face to the party's new coalition of constituents. It's a slap in the face to every American, especially today when we remember the war dead, who sacrificed their lives to keep America free and secure. It's not secure if you've got 16 million invaders, 16 million illegals who have just trampled across your laws and your constitution and set up home in America illegally. It's an insult to them, never mind insulting the voters, which is bad enough. But it's insulting people who gave their lives, who are lying in cemeteries all over America, because they died to keep America free and secure. Secure in case these politicians don't know what it means. It's like your house at night. You shut your door and you lock it so no interlopers can come in and dwell within your house illegally. That's what security means. So you give amnesty to 16 million people who've poured into your house is not on. It's a disgrace. And it is a slap in the face. And it's an affront to decency and to the memory of those who have given their lives. And there are other people who served but didn't die, but gave several years, the best years of their lives, in the service to American freedom and security. It's outrageous. Arizona Congressman Paul Gosar told Breitbart News that any amnesty ensures Texas and Arizona and Florida will be solid blue and would join Southern California as a once red area. Yeah. Lou Murray, a former advisor to President Trump's 2016 campaign and head of the Bostonians against Sanctuary City, said that Graham's suggestion is very disturbing on many levels. You ain't joking. You're the master of understatement, sir. Mr. Murray, you've been very cautious here. It's very disturbing. It's disaster. It's disaster because you would lose immediately Texas, Arizona and Florida forever. That's it. They're gone. Republicans would never win these states again, ever. Biden's plan includes amnesty for all illegal aliens, freeing border crossers into the interior of the USA, providing free healthcare to illegal aliens, and increasing the flow of foreign visa workers into the US labour market to compete for jobs against Americans. I mean, this guy sounds like one of the worst of the old cartels, you know, the old, what do you call them, Andrew Carnegie and the Rockefellers. He sounds like one of them, because all that's going to do is drive wages down for normal Americans, and they're getting free healthcare. Do you know, America, people bust their back to provide healthcare for their families, but these guys come into the country illegally. Criminals come into the country and they get free healthcare. Why work? Why bother? Why follow the rules? Why salute the flag if that's how you're treated? This is what's going on. This is the socialist agenda. This is the communist red agenda, my friends. They want to destroy countries because they don't believe in countries. They don't believe in borders. They don't believe in nations. They don't even believe in races. That's why they want to mix and jumble everybody up. So nobody's got a country. Nobody's got an ethnicity. Nobody's got a sexuality. We're just slaves, consumer slaves, to be worked, to be bled or milked and led to whatever watering hole the elites want us to go to. That's it. We are becoming slaves by the day, and it's very, very worrying. And I know there's enough firm men and women still left in America to say, no, we will not do it. You will not enslave us. And I know that. And that's why I know America's going to end up in a very, very bad place. Because I know people will stick their heels in and say, no, we're not doing this. And God bless you. You should. How can people do this? Listen, don't let them do what they've done to us. Europe is I was going to say several nations, but is it? Europe is now run by the EU. It is a country in all but name. And we are slaves. And they've disarmed us. And we can do nothing about it. Don't allow them to do this to you. Please, if America falls, it's all over for everybody. And instead of the low-level intimidation we're getting out, it'll be full level. The gulags will be full. The death camps will be full. And people will lose their lives for daring to speak up against the establishment elites. That's where we're going. This really is George Orwell's 1984. And it's going to get serious. The only thing that can keep us out of that is a strong America. We need you, America. We need the people of America to stand up and be counted. We need the people of America to resolve themselves never to surrender. Because if you guys go, it's all over for us. The free world is gone. Now, America's got a lot of problems. We know that. But it's the best we've got. And if America goes, Nothing will restrain these people. The Red Terror that once lurked across the lands of Eastern Europe, and if you don't believe how bad it was, go and ask a Hungarian. Go and ask a Polish person. There's plenty of them in your country as well. Go and ask them what like it was living under Soviet domination, communist domination. Hell on earth. We must, at all costs, unite ourselves. Roman Catholics, Presbyterians, Eastern Orthodox, Coptics. I don't care how you worship the one true living God, Christ Jesus himself. But as long as you're worshipping the one true living God, we must unite together. We must. We must. People said to me the other day there, can atheists or pagans unite with you? No, you cannot. We must fight a pure war. We must fight a righteous war. And you cannot have pagans in amongst us. You know, you could not do that. One rotten apple can spoil the barrel. So people say, well, you'll never win because not enough people will join. Are you joking me? One man on fire with the Holy Spirit of God can defeat an entire nation. No problem at all. It's been done. Look at Moses and ask Pharaoh, if you could, how he fared against one man. Oh, listen, when a man is lifted up with the Spirit of God, he can take on mighty armies, he can take on rulers, he can take on emperors, he can take on popes, he can take on kings or queens, and he will win with God with him. But if millions of people in America rise up, what force on earth can ever stand against them? With God at their back, pushing them forward, and with them holding the red banners of Christ Jesus. Who could stand against that? I'll tell you who. Nobody. Nobody. So that's what we must pray for. Right, let's have a wee look here at the board. What's the scores on the board? I can see from there, right. Oh, let me see. I can see it. Scott Rash, God bless you, brother. Scott's put a good word in. Bruce Campbell, well done, Bruce. God bless you. Ewan Eggerstrom, you're very good. He's always in the ball, this fella. Most of these people are the same people as usual. Jonathan Boudin, Sharon and Karen, God bless you. I hope things are getting a wee bit easier for you after Big Axeman going. But he'd be proud of this, I know he would. Leslie Androkovich, God bless you. Peter Holder, Joseph Taylor, John McKellen, brilliant, excellent stuff, God bless you all. And Michael Bukowski. Oh, talking about that, Bukowski. Listen, thanks, God bless you. We're still a fair bit short here, folks. Come on, let's go. Today is also National Day in Poland, where Poland won its independence. And I'm normally in Poland on this day because 200,000 Roman Catholic patriot young men marched through the streets with flares singing Polska, Polska, Katolicka. And they make speeches from the platform that would turn your hair overnight. Fiery young priests with their robes on, monks' robes on, with barefoot in the snow, screaming that we don't need Sharia law. We have Jesus. We don't need the Quran because we have the Holy Bible. We will never be any other type of nation other than a Catholic nation under Christ. And if Poland ever deviates from that, the whole of Poland will die. Oh, fiery. I'll show you, the brother's going to show you some pictures here. I'm normally there, and we have very good relations. And a couple of years ago, the whole procession, 200,000 men, were led by a Knights Templar banner, Deus Vult. Yes, the Knights Templar banner led that entire crowd a couple of years ago. Huge banner, Deus Vult. And when we put it on Facebook, we got it banned. Yeah, they banned it because they were terrified. But 200,000 men marched behind the Knights Templar Deus Vult banner. That's a fact. Yeah, there's one. That's one. And overall, when they were marching over all the bridges in the city, they had gigantic Deus Vult banners. We'll show them that one as well, brother. But look at that. That big building in the background is the Soviet old headquarters of the Communist Party. Look at it. It looks evil, because it is evil. But look at that. There's one of the banners they were walking with. And overall, as they walked along the street, all the bridges had 50, 60 feet banners draped down them. Deus Vult. Deus Vult. So we are very well received there. Very well respected there. The young boys mainly are kind of wild young football guys and all that, but they love the Templars, they respect us, and they treat us very, very, very kindly. And nothing's too much for them. They'll look after us when we arrive till we leave. Picked up at the airport, took back to the airport. They think we're wonderful, and we think they're wonderful. They're young lads, they need guidance, and we're happy to give them that guidance. And we work very closely with our Polish brethren. Great people, the Poles, you know. Fearless. Absolutely fearless fighters, the Poles. Never come up against a Pole in a fight. Very dangerous. And I once knew a man, toughest man I've ever met in my life. He was half Irish and half Polish. Whoo, what a mix. He was about 6'7", built like a tank, and frightened in nothing. only God. Very godly man. Very godly man. But what a mix. A Pollock and a Paddy. Some mix. Oh, don't be messing with him, I'll tell you that. But God bless the people of Poland this day as well. So when I just have a wee look and see, oh, look at that, came out. Some of these sites from Poland are incredible, you know. This is what's going on today in Warsaw. And remember, between the Nazis and the communists, there wasn't a brick left standing on top of each other. It was utter devastation in Poland, and they lost millions of people. Millions of people. Very bad. And you know, when the Panzer tanks were coming in, the Poles had nothing left, and a cavalry unit led by a very old colonel, about 70-year-old colonel, said, what do you want to do? You know, it was finished, it's all finished. The Panzers, you know, the Blitzkrieg, the Panzers were coming over the fields, and they said, that's how we're going to charge them, on their horses, with sabres. And charged right into a full division of Panzers. Annihilated, obviously, but they chose to go out in glory as warrior Polish men, Catholic men, Christian men, rather than submit to the Nazis invading their country. Oh, what a story. There's another story when the communists attacked in 1928. The army was defeated and cowering, lying on the ground, terrified, because the communists were making mincemeat out of them. Huge numbers of communists pouring into Poland. And a young priest stood up with a cross and just started walking forward towards the Soviet lines. And the Polish soldiers, who were terrified and beaten, rose with the priest. And they won that battle. The priest never seen the end of that battle, but he's a saint. Great stories. Great things to learn. And if they hadn't stopped the Bolsheviks then in Poland, the Bolsheviks would have swept across Europe. Even Charles de Gaulle, the president of France, he went on to be, he was at that battle as a young man. All the Christians, Roman Catholics from all over Europe went to volunteer to fight with the Polish people against the Bolsheviks. And you should try and research that. Maybe show it one day. The priest standing up with the cross and just walking forward into a barrage, a hailstorm of machine gun fire, and that gave the Polish troops the courage to go on. And that's what I said, sometimes you've got to sacrifice yourself for the greater good, and he did that. So God bless his memory. Anyway, folks, I just want to check the list again. Who else? Anybody else new in? Oh yes, we've got Bartley Burker. God bless you, Bartley, good reliable man. We've got Delmere. Is that Oral? Yep, God bless you as well. Well, folks, you know, we're totting up. I haven't tallied it up. I don't know if the Teggy guys tallied it up. I don't know where we are. We'll try and tally it up now. We'll see where we are. Let me see. I want to tell this guy today that stuff's ours and it's coming to our Magdalene Chapel. We'll tally it up now. So 655. I've put in £250 was $400. So 550. So we've got 1,055. That's dollars, yeah. Yeah, $1,055 there. So we're 745 left. $745 to go, folks. Well, look, I'm not going to badge you. I'm going to leave it with you. But we need $745 before the end of play today, and that is ours. But I think we've had a good stab at it there, and I want to again thank every single person here, all of you guys who have donated. God bless you. It's brilliant, and I hope it's exciting you as much as it's exciting me. And I know times are hard, so it's like the widow's mite. I know you are really struggling to put this in. I appreciate it very much. The Templars appreciate it. Not just this priory, but all priories. We really appreciate this, and it's good that this was done on live TV. We've done it just about, and I'm sure by the end of the day, I've no doubt in my mind that you guys will do this by the end of the day, and that is coming here. So God bless each and every one of these, and I salute each and every one of these. Philip Milne, the Scotsman. We've even prized money out of Scotsman. Philip, if this Scotsman can donate, I must have shamed you, but God bless you, Philip. You're still stuck in America, by the way. Worst places to be stuck in Florida. But Philip Milne, thank you and God bless you. So everybody who puts this in, we'll put your name up and we'll keep this for tomorrow. Can we do that, brother? Can we do our tally up tomorrow? And I'm going to read out everybody's name who made this possible, because I want to thank each and every one of these personally. All right? So you can keep giving. I'll go through the names tomorrow, and God bless each and every one of these. That's all from me, folks. I'll see you tomorrow if the good Lord spares me. But until then, I just want to say the ending up today. Let us spend a wee bit of time in reflection today. Certainly for our brother Sergio Casasanta, who's passed away. And more importantly, for all those sons and fathers who gave their lives that we may be free. And let us think, how are we going to respond to the current and present threat upon us? How are we going to respond? We need to really get before God on our knees and pray for divine intervention, or pray at least for courage that we would be strong in battle to make sure that we do not lose our freedom. And remember, we have many, many veterans still alive, still struggling to live, poor, lonely, neglected, forgotten about by society. If you have any veterans in your area that you know of this day, go and tap their door. Would you do that for me? Just go and tap their door and say, I'm such and such from the Knights Templar Order, and I just want to say, sir or madam, thank you for your service. That's it. Spend 5 minutes having a wee chat with them. Have a whiskey with them if you want. But just go and say thank you. We appreciate everything you've done for us. And to your fathers and your grandfathers, thank you. God bless you. That's all from me. Remember, as I always say, stick close to God. You won't go far wrong. Deus Vault.